Hi, and welcome to another Photoshop tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use layer masks. It'll be the very basics of layer masks, so let's get going. So you can see in this document I've got three layers here called red, blue, and green, and they have the colors there. And what I'm going to do is a layer mask basically tells Photoshop how much of the layer to show. So I'm going to select my red layer here, and I'm going to come down to this third icon down here, which will add a layer mask. And you can see the layer mask shows up as white right next to it. And what you need to know is that if the layer mask is white, the opposite color, which is black, would then go ahead and poke a hole through this red layer. So I'll go ahead and I'll choose my brush, and the nice thing about this technique is that I can go ahead and I can select any brush I want. So if I want to choose this brush here, I can go ahead and I can brush, and you see that I'm getting the nice bristle texture, and I'm basically poking a hole right through that layer. And you can see it showing up over here on the layer mask. If I realize I made a mistake, I can change it back to white, and I can brush back in here, and it will completely cover it back up. It'll patch up that hole. Of course, I can come up to my brush picker and choose just a good solid clean brush, and I can patch it back up with the color white. So black will poke a hole through it, white will patch it up, and if I choose something in between black and white, it'll go ahead and it'll give me something semi-transparent. So you can see I'm seeing some of the red, but I'm also seeing some of the blue and the green underneath. Most of the time with photography, though, you're probably going to be dealing with just black or white. Okay, so that's pretty much it for creating a layer mask and the basics of how it works based on black and white. Obviously, you can add it on to other layers, so I'll just go ahead and add one onto the blue layer. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to poke a hole through the red one using the color black. And then if I select the blue layer and I use the color black also, I'm poking a hole through that. So you can see that we're actually looking through two layers at the same time. So not terribly fantastic, but you get the basic idea. You don't need the eraser tool with this at all. All you need are basically the colors white and black. And you can use your painter's wheel to select these real nice and quickly. Okay, so let's see how this works on a photograph if you want. Okay, so here's a photo that I've opened up of a house. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring in, here's my folder here, I'm going to bring in this photo of this, this girl wearing this dress. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag and drop her right into the composition. And that's a little bit different than how I've shown in class. In class I've shown that you can just do File Open and you can go ahead and bring her in. But this is certainly really quick. So what this technique does is it brings her in. It resizes her so that she fits the page, which is handy. It also makes a layer that is actually named based on the image file, so that's really handy as well. So I'm going to hold down Shift and click and drag on one of the corners until I feel like she's the right size for the piece. And then I'll click on the little check box up here so that she's confirmed. Now, there is something new here, and that is that when you drag and drop a layer in, the way that I did, it makes this layer what's called a smart object, and that little icon there shows that. Now you will run into some troubles with smart objects, but they're really great and they're really handy, and they're a little bit more advanced than where we are right now. We will get into smart objects a little bit later on in the semester. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to basically get rid of the background here, and I could do that a number of ways. I'm going to go ahead and select her layer there, and I'm going to click on Add a Layer Mask. You'll notice it's white, so that should be your clue that you want to go ahead and choose the color black. I'm going to choose a nice crisp edge brush with a hard edge, and I'll just come in here and I'll start brushing over the parts that I want to get rid of. Now there are faster and easier ways to knock out this background, but this is just a way that you could do it with simple layer masks and just going in manually. And of course you can choose whatever brush you want. For the really tight detailed areas over here, you would just zoom in, or you would change the size of your brush, and you would go ahead and that would work out just fine. Now this is without using selections or anything like that, so it's just using a straight up layer mask, which like I said is not the fastest way. I'm just showing you an example using layer masks. I think that you should be able to know a couple different ways to do something, so that way if something doesn't work, or you're having issues with it, or it's feeling a little wonky, you can go ahead and, of course, manually go ahead and do it a different way. All right, so I'm not going to make you sit here and watch all of this, so just know you can kind of see the result here. And the beautiful thing about layer masks is that if you make a mistake, you do not need to go back in and undo. You can just take color white, and you'll see that it comes right back in. Okay, so that's going to be it for this tutorial. That's just the basics of adding in a layer mask. It just lets you see what's underneath, and it works out really, really well. So use layer masks a lot.